booties for black girl nerds.
Hi, I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing great. It's so nice to talk to you. This movie was so adorable, so it's really good to speak to you about it.
Thank you.
Yes, so I want to start with this because it was my first thought when I saw the film, how much of space is incorporated into it. The idea of going to space is obviously very terrifying because there's so much unknown about it. But Elio is so excited for it, and I did read that you were terrified and nervous about it. So can you talk to me about if you had the opportunity to go, what would you take with you?
Man. Uh, so let's say, okay, so is this like I'm staying there for the rest of my life and I need to
Yeah.
bring, okay, that's hard. Okay, how many items can I bring?
As much as you want. What are your most
Okay,
important things?
I don't know how skateboarding would work with no gravity, but skateboarding is such a big part of my life and I always skate with my friends, but I would definitely try and figure out how to skate with no gravity. So skateboard, I'm bringing a burger, some pizza, some typical Earth food. Um, I'm bringing. Can I bring a person?
You want to bring a person? Yeah, for
Okay, I'm
sure.
bringing my friend group. My four best friends. They're coming with me, and they don't have a choice to stay back on Earth. They're coming with me to space. And I think that's it. That's all I'm taking.
That's a solid choice. Yeah,
Yeah.
of course, it's like a lot of fun. And speaking of fun, being part of the Pixar family now, I have to ask you, since that's such an amazing accomplishment, what are like your favorite Pixar movies?
Yeah, my favorite Pixar movies. I'm gonna give you top three. Okay, so number three, I'm going to Cars. Two, Incredibles, and one, um, Up.
Oh, okay, nice. And Bug's Life is one of my favorites. I know that was one of
Oh
the
yeah,
first
I've
ones.
seen that one too. That one's a
That's
good
one of
one.
my favorites.
Wasn't that like one of
And
the first Pixar
yeah, I
movies?
think that was the second one because I know Toy
Oh,
Story was the first one.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so those are great. And now there are a lot of lessons to be learned in Elio. And if you had to say like you want something that kids can take from this, what's a big lesson you think kids should take from the film?
Yeah, I think just, how important your family is and your friends are, and they're always going to be there for you when you need them. And if you're going through grief and you've lost maybe a family member, a pet, or you feel like you're alone and it's maybe hard for you to find friends, that you'll find your friends and you'll get there. Just stay positive and everything is going to be okay.
That is such a great message. Thank you so much for that. And my last question, so seeing the film, I felt like there were a lot of components about it that there were a lot to take away from it. But your voice acting was just so great. And I see that your
Thank you.
catalog is you do a lot of voice work. So what do you like the most about that versus actually having to star like physically in a film and do that type of work?
I think just how much like your mind can roam everywhere and just like the amount of seeing when you're working on a voiceover movie or a animated movie, it's hard to kind of see what you're going to work like what the animation is going to look like because usually the animators will animate to your voice and although that's kind of what happened with me is it started off as Scratch, which is the temporary voice, and then I got the main role. Um, I could imagine what the Communiverse looked like and what Elio and his friends looked like, but I didn't know exactly what it was gonna look like. But then once I saw the animation, it all made sense to me, and it's exactly like kind of what I imagined it to be.
No, it was very beautifully done. We don't have a ton of like space films in the animated
Right.
world. So this was really great to see. You did such fantastic work. I hope to
Thank
see you
you.
do more things, but I do want to leave on this note. Since you are in the Disney world now, is there any Marvel character that you would like to play?
Oh yes, totally. Um, my favorite Marvel character is definitely Spider-Man. I watch like all the Spider-Man movies are my favorite. I mean, just they're so great. I love Spider-Man. Like the web shooters. I remember when I still try to make them. I watch like YouTube videos on how to make your own web shooters, like with paper, homemade stuff. And I'm really manifesting that Spider-Man role.
Got it. Well, fingers crossed for you. We'll keep that in the atmosphere for you.
Thank
But thank
you.
you so much for taking time to speak with us. I can't wait for everyone to see this film.
Yes, have a good one.
You too. Thank you.
Bye.
Good. Nice to meet you.
Thank you guys so much for taking time to speak with me. I always love talking to the creatives behind projects like this. Pixar is one of my favorite teams. So thank you guys so much for taking the time.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
So, Mary Alice, I'll start with you. I do think it's great that you guys took the time to do some research to really understand space and extraterrestrial life form and intelligence to make the film more authentic. What were some finds that you guys wanted to include in Elio?
Wow. Yeah, I think Pixar really prides itself on research. And so it's just such a great opportunity when you get to go with teams and we have these touchstones we can talk about. But on this film, really amazed by some of the women we met, actually. Dr. Jill Tarter is one of the founders of the SETI organization. We got to work with her really early. She's the Jodie Foster character in Contact is based on Jill. We got to go to military bases and interact with people that have the role that Olga has in the film, that are orbital analysts, that are, balancing their very important jobs and their families. And then we got to do other fun stuff of just looking at like microbiotic, creatures and deep sea photography, just trying to ground ourselves in some aspects of what we would base the characters on the communiverse on.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I thought that was such a realistic piece to it. So thank you guys so much for including that. And Domi, I do want to ask you about the process of sharing directorial duties, not just with just yourself, but Madeline and Adrian. So how does it all come together when you guys are having to wear like different hats, and what's the biggest difference between just a solo director versus three?
Yeah, that's a good question. Well, yeah, this is my first time kind of coming onto a project where it was kind of halfway through production already, and my first time co-directing with a partner. But I just thought it was such an awesome experience because it's also my first time directing a sci-fi movie too. So there was a lot of firsts, and I felt like I was in film school again in some moments, and I was like learning on the job, and it was actually quite exciting. And there were differences for sure from Turning Red, since I didn't come up with this idea from the beginning. It took me a minute to like connect with the main character and like find my way into the story. But it happened pretty quickly, and that was that, this idea of a lonely weirdo who learns how to connect with others. I can totally identify with that. In Turning Red, when you meet May, she's already found her people, she's found her friends. But there was definitely a moment in my life where I didn't have friends, and I was struggling, and this movie kind of allowed me to kind of go back to that time and kind of remember what it was like just to like, wake up every day and dream to find a place where I could belong and fit in. And, luckily when me and Maddie kind of inherited this project from Adrian, he'd already built such a beautiful world with a vibrant, diverse cast of characters. It was just more, and the conceit of it was pretty much there, which is this movie was always pitched as, a lonely, like, what if the world's weirdest kid was mistaken for the leader of Earth and abducted by aliens? And I think what me and Maddie added to that concept was like, what if he wanted to be abducted? What if he wanted to leave Earth? And then eventually, by the end of the story, he chooses to stay on Earth. And that just involved going more into a deep dive of like, why does Elio want to leave Earth so badly? What is he running away from? What is he running towards? But all of that stuff, like the why of the character, you work on that for any movie. I think that's kind of like where all of our stories start, is with the character. How do they start at the beginning of the movie, and how do they change, and how do you show that change in the most entertaining and emotional and funny and vibrant way? It was such a pleasure to work with Maddie, and I have so much respect for Adrian. He had to go off to start Coco 2, but I felt so honored that he entrusted us to finish his film, I'm just so excited for the world to see it.
Yeah, no, it was great. And to speak on what you said about relatability, I have lost a parent. I've lost my dad.
Oh,
But I can imagine. I put myself in his shoes. Like you would snap on someone that kind of disrespected you, and
yeah,
that
right.
it super relatable. So
Yeah.
thank you guys so much for putting this together. We don't have a lot of animated space, like Disney movies and stuff. So I loved seeing this, and it was a different take on it. So thank you, ladies, so much for your time with speaking with me today.
Oh,
Yeah,
thank
thank
you.
you.
Nice to meet you.
Better shake your booties for black girl nerves. Better shake your booties for black girl nerves.